Hello and welcome back to another Popcorn Chat. I hope you guys are doing well. In this video, I'm going to be speaking to you about the 2001 film Training Day. I'm a big Ethan Hawke fan, so I've been making my way through his filmography and I've been meaning to watch this one, and I know it's had a lot of hype surrounding it. It's in a lot of top 100 lists of films to watch, and I'm really excited to talk about it today. Make sure you stay tuned as I'll be having Elliott from IMO Reviews in the video later on, so he'll be telling you all about his thoughts on this film. So what's it all about? In this film we follow Jake, who is a rookie officer who embarks on this training day with Alonzo, who is a veteran police officer on his first day with LAPD's narcotic unit. This film is filled with familiar faces. Obviously we have our leads, Ethan Hawke and Denzel Washington, but we also had the likes of Eva Mendes, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Macy Gray. There's loads of actors you're going to recognise in this film. What a poignant buddy cop movie. Or is it? Both Washington and Hawke give excellent performances throughout this film. Saying that, this feels much more like Denzel Washington's film from his stellar and deceiving performance. Nevertheless, you are there with Ethan Hawke's character, constantly unsure to trust anything that Alonzo says. Both you and Jake are constantly on your toes throughout the film, from the winding narrative beats and the constant mistrust you have from Alonzo's character. This film was great at highlighting the corruption within the police force, as well as depicting various types of characters you get within society, especially those who are driven by greed and authority. Even those minor characters such as Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre, they give excellent performances. Dr. Dre especially really submerses himself within that character, so you don't really think about this rapper as such, oh that's him initially, but he really fits into the role and fits into this sort of universe that we get within Training Day. I don't have many negatives with the film. Maybe that there's not necessarily new things in terms of police corruption, like we know that as an audience. Maybe there's some other aspects that I can't think of that are dated, especially since the film is now 22 years old. I do think that Eva Mendes' character could have been written a little stronger. She could have had more dialogue and therefore more stuff to do with the plot, and maybe adding a little bit more to Alonzo's character development. So that's enough on my thoughts. Let's go over and see what Elliott has to say.
Hi Sarah, and thank you for having me on your channel to talk about one of my all-time favourite movies, Training Day. I could talk about this film for hours. I think it is one of the best written films out there. The details of each scene are so delicately woven in. The more you pay attention to this film, the more you will see in it. I think it's a great movie to watch and watch again, especially if you're a practicing screenwriter. Everyone in this film is really good. Even the musicians like Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. They're actually pretty solid here. But it's Denzel Washington's performance that is out of this world. It really is a monster turnout by Washington, and it is perfectly countered by the deer in the headlights that Ethan Hawke so perfectly brings to life here. The pacing of Training Day is superb. Something that I so often complain about is done perfectly here. It's frenetic and it constantly keeps moving, but it never feels like it jumps or skips a beat. Being locked in that car with Denzel is a real pressure cooker, and you can feel the pressure alleviate or grow depending on what other characters come into the mix. And it cleverly plays with your emotions because not everyone is quite what they present themselves to be. Just because he has a big grin on his face and he seems friendly, it doesn't mean he's a nice guy, which just makes that pressure cooker environment even hotter for our dear Ethan Hawke and ourselves as the audience. And it's through the charisma of Denzel Washington and the confusion of Ethan Hawke that you, the audience, never quite know what to believe. You are constantly kept on your toes, and in doing that, they somehow craft a gripping, well-told story that keeps you sweating in a solid 2 hours. You may only spend a few minutes with certain characters, and yet with throwaway, blink and you'll miss it pieces of dialogue, they really deepen the neighbourhood and how it all works and how it's all connected, with a nice touch of history of the place and the characters within it. For me, Training Day really is a flawless film. I struggle like hell to find anything wrong with it. So diving into some of those spoilers, and more specifically those finer details that I said if you blink you might miss them, I think it's quite important to pay attention to the character of Roger in this movie. Notice how he keeps saying boom just like Alonzo does. Notice how he has a very disarming nature and a big wide grin on his face just like Alonzo. These small little details really do paint how much of an impact Roger had on Alonzo. We're seeing almost a reverse of what happened between Roger and Alonzo play out between Alonzo and Hoyt. Where Alonzo went down the rabbit hole and was absorbed by it, Hoyt remains righteous and steadfast. And that really is the meat and gravy of what Training Day is. It's a fascinating discussion on how effective the police truly are and how much power they truly have. You have to wait for the potential victim to become a victim before you can do anything about it. It's reactive, not proactive. And the film does a superb job of showing exactly why that's both good and bad. It becomes a very, very slippery slope that can't be climbed back up. All to be perfectly encapsulated by the news reporting Alonso's death with the very words that Alonso manipulated Hoyt with to go along with his bidding. There is such poetic irony that despite Alonso seeing himself being better than Hoyt, being smarter than Hoyt, he was always just Hoyt himself, but the Hoyt that took the wrong path and ultimately met the fate that he thought not taking this path would lead to. And that to me is just perfect. The perfect ending for both of these characters. Please, please, please never make a sequel or a prequel to Training Day. It literally does not need one. It is a perfect standalone movie. Thank you so much for having me on your channel, Sarah. It's been a lot of fun, and to talk about one of my favourite movies as well.
A big thank you to Elliott from IMO Reviews for his thoughts. I thought he brought some really interesting aspects. Make sure you head over to Elliott's channel and subscribe if you haven't already. He makes great content and has some really interesting thoughts on films. Overall, I really enjoyed this film. I was constantly engaged throughout, and I think that's down to the script and the performances of its two lead actors. The film gets a lot right, from its script to its performance. This is an integral part of the film and makes for a really sort of dynamic and interesting watch. Thanks so much for watching my review of Training Day. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm looking to do reviews on older videos that a lot of people love or hate on the channel, so it's not just going to be new reviews coming out, so make sure you subscribe if that sounds like something you're interested in. Thanks again to Elliott for collabing on this video. Make sure you go and check out his channel, which is linked down below, and hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys very soon for another popcorn chat.